If you guys want coins for FC24, make sure you check out MMOEXP.com. Their link is down in the description. They're very fast, they're very cheap, they're very reliable, and if you use my code REMA, you can get yourself a lovely 5% discount. So what's up guys, it's Ash and welcome back to a brand new video. Now in today's video guys, we have my updated 4231 custom tactics and player instructions to help you out. Sorry if the video is a bit shorter today and apologies for no upload yesterday. I have been battling a bit of a sickness. So yeah, it's been a bit difficult, but I'm getting a bit better now. And yeah, if you're looking at this team, we did pack this Lauren James yesterday. She's like 4 million coins, which is ridiculous, as well as Foden. And we did get this Rice in rewards as well the other day. So yeah, this team's looking pretty ridiculous right now. And yeah, I hope you guys do enjoy the video. And yeah, let's get right into it, guys. Enjoy. Okay then, guys. So starting off with the tactics for the defensive style, we pop it on balanced as it does give us the best control over the defense. When you want to press, you can. When you want to drop off, you can also do that. I do advise balance because I just think it is the most controlled and will help you out a lot more than the other settings. That being said, if you want to use pressure tactics because you feel more comfortable with that, then go right ahead. For the defensive width, guys, honestly, I would suggest anywhere from 40 to 50, but lower is better in my opinion. So the reason I go with 40 is because we can primarily defend in a nice, narrow and compact shape to block out all those attacks through the middle. But at the same time, because we're on 40, we still have enough width to cover the wider areas in case an opponent goes down the wing. So we do prioritize blocking out the middle areas, but we still have that width to cover the wider areas. So if you feel like this is a bit too narrow, up it, but just be aware, you will leave more gaps through the middle, so you might concede more as a result. But it's all down to preference. Now for the depth, guys, again, this is a preference thing. You can do what you want with this. Some people might want to use 71 depth because they like that automatic press that the AI gives you. So it's a very automatic type of depth. You know, a lot of people actually use this as a substitute for using pressure tactics because in some ways it's better to just use 71 depth because you don't really get stamina drain and you know, you press your opponent like crazy. I don't really like it. If you want to use something like 60, you can, where you get that higher defensive line, or you can do what I do where I put it on 55, so it's a bit higher than default, but you know, not too high either. The reason I don't like 71 depth and things like that as such is because I like to have as much control over my defenders as possible. Now for the build-up play, guys, we pop this on balanced as, again, it gives me the best control and you know, variety when we are building up the play. Even if you like to play slow or play fast or do long balls, I don't suggest using any of these individual settings as they don't really work very well. It just makes your players move in strange ways. They don't move in efficient ways. For example, with slow build up, the players just rarely move at all, so it's really bad. So whatever you want to play, whatever type of style you want to play, I'd suggest balanced as it does, you know, help you out the most, and you can pretty much do anything with it anyway. Now for the chance creation, guys, direct passing is very important as it is probably the only way to consistently create chances in this game. It's a very push forward, track back kind of movement. So what your strikers will do is they'll make a run and then they'll wait for a defender to overcommit, and then once the defender has overcommitted to the run that you've just made, your player will track back. So then there's space between you and the defender and you can cut back to them. So that's the kind of like chance creation we're talking about. Can be very boring, but it is very effective. Now for the attacking width, guys, pretty much use whatever you want. If you're somebody like me that prefers a bit more of a narrow approach in a formation like this, then you can go for like 40 to 45. If you want it to be even more narrow, you can go even lower, but just beware, you might get boxed in a lot of the time. Or if you want to make it a bit wider, you can obviously just up the width. So it's not really like a specific number you need to use. It's about finding out which type of style you want. So you know, just pick a width for your type of style. If you want to play wide, obviously have that higher width. Now if the players in the box, guys, I suggest 6 as it's nice and balanced. You do get a few players into the box, but you don't have to overcommit everybody to the point where you're going to get counter-attacked if you lose the ball. For the corners and the free kicks, I also pop these on 1, but it's a preference thing. I do this because, you know, I just don't like getting counter-attacked from set pieces, and I don't really notice a difference from having, you know, more players in the box. So yeah. Now for the player instructions, guys, striker, we have them on stay central and get in behind. By far the most meta instructions you can have on your striker because they're the ones that will make them move in the best ways to create chances in this game. Stay central is important, so you always have that focal point. It's especially important in a one striker formation like this, so you always have somebody to rely upon in the middle up top there. And then we also have them on getting behind to force those runs out of the player and, you know, create as many chances as possible. If you're playing against somebody that uses 71 depth and you're using something like mixed attack, a lot of the time your players are just very static and it's difficult to beat the press, so you do need somebody running in behind, in my opinion, in the state of this game. Now for the central cam, we just completely leave them alone. We kind of just let them do what they want. We don't really need to change them all that much. I just leave them on the default settings. There's not too much to say there. It's important to use a competent cam, as a lot of the play goes through this player. You know, they spray the ball out to the wide players, or they'll play it through to the striker, or they'll receive the ball from the CDMs. It's very much like that. So just make sure you're using a competent player, and you should be fine. For the wide players, guys, we put them on comeback on defense. This is to make it defend in a 4-4-2 shape. I don't always do this, but the reason I do it sometimes is because it does just make you a lot more compact. You know, and it just helps you get more results. I sometimes like using basic defensive support because, you know, I like to have some players up the pitch when I win the ball back, and I don't want it to be too slow. But comeback on defense is very good because it makes it defending like a 4-4-2 shape. So these wide players will come back to defend next to these two CDMs here. So, you know, you can defend the narrow areas with those CDMs and then the wider areas with these wide cams. So that's why people do that. But for the rest of the instructions on the wingers, I just leave them alone. Now for the left CDM, guys, the more defensive-minded two of the CDMs, so in my case Declan Rice, we pop them on stay back, cut passing lanes and cover centre. It's important to have at least one on stay back to bring that balance to the midfield. You don't want them both flying forward because if you lose the ball, it's just your back line. And if you've got a fullback going forward as well, you're pretty much screwed. So you need that balance. You need somebody there to just, you know, break up the play and help you out and add that security. Cut passing lanes is good if you have somebody with like intercept plus, as you know, they'll pretty much intercept everything and get you the ball back. And then cover centre so that it'll primarily cover that middle area because as we discussed, we have the wingers coming back to defend the wider areas, so we don't need these players to cover the wider areas too. Now for the right CDM, guys, I use like a more box-to-box style player. So on this player, we're going to want them to attack and defend, you know, help with the transitions from defense to attack, things like that. So this player has a free roll, so we kind of just leave them alone so they're not restricted to doing anything, and then just pop them on cover centre. So like the other CDM, they'll cover that central area when defending because as discussed, we have the wingers or the wide cams to cover that wider area. Now moving on to the fullbacks, guys, whichever one is your most attacking one, it doesn't matter which one. In my case, it's the right back. I suggest popping them on balanced attack and overlap. Now this is because the 4-2-3-1 is still quite a narrow formation, which means sometimes you can struggle to create chances, you know, if somebody's applying a lot of pressure or things like that, or defending very well. So what's important to use with this is balanced overlap because it adds that wider option which will stretch out the opponent's defensive line, leaving more space in the middle for your more narrow players to attack through. So essentially you're just stretching out the opponent's defensive line and giving yourself a wider option, and it's especially useful if you have somebody with like the whipped pass plus trait, as you can just, you know, ping balls in and things like that. So this is very underrated and very important in my opinion, especially in a narrow formation. For the other fullback, guys, the more defensive one, we have them on stay back and overlap, so you always have at least 3 of these defenders back at a time, which is more than enough a lot of the time, and then pop them on overlap, so when you do send them on a run forward, they will make that overlapping run much like the other fullback. For the 2 centre-backs, we leave them alone, we don't touch them, and the keeper, we also leave them alone, but you might want to pop them on comes crosses and sweeper keeper, depending on, you know, what you prefer. But yeah, guys, they are my tactics and instructions for the 4-2-3-1. If you guys have enjoyed or found it useful, please be sure to drop it a thumbs up, sub to the channel if you are new, so you never miss out on any videos, and don't forget to turn on notifications. And with all that aside, guys, hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will catch you all in the next video. Peace out, guys. Take care.